my thing is, yo, just don't overthink stuff. Don't try to be over technical about it, because people aren't built like that. Like, we're not like robots. You know what I'm saying? What's up, y'all? Real quick before I go get this workout in, I'm gonna make sure I give y'all some more content. Y'all been asking me to upload more often. I feel weird. I don't have a goatee. I usually have a goatee. I messed up when I was shaved, so I had to cut it off. So, I don't know. I feel weird without a goatee. I'm getting used to it. But anyways, I want to talk about real quick why Myers-Briggs, why they call it why the better way to describe Myers-Briggs is a psychological preference. I'm going to kind of describe how functions kind of work. And some people who have even been into Myers-Briggs for a long time don't understand this, man. Like, sometimes they, like, some people that have been into Myers-Briggs for a while, they kind of skip over some of the basic stuff before they skip over it too soon and then try to move on to the advanced stuff too quick. But this basic concept about how the functions work, and this can tell you if somebody really took the time to understand Myers-Briggs or if they just try to rush it and, like, they just did some reading and, like, I understand it now. But this is just like a fundamental concept of fundamentals of functions, how they work. A lot of experts like to refer to it as psychological preference as opposed to your personality type. This personality type is just kind of a word, it's kind of a word that can make it easier for you to market market it, or, well, I would say market it, but it's a term a term that's more catchy and more attract more people to it. So that's why they call it personality type, but not really a personality call. It's really best word is psychological preference. The reason why is because, I mean, every type uses all 8 functions. Technically, every type uses all 8 functions throughout their life. But you'll always fall back on your top 4 functions. Really your top 2 functions, but of course your top 4. Your top 2 functions are what you always gonna fall back on. Push come to shove, those are your go-to. Like, for me, TI and SC are my 2 go-to functions. Always gonna be my 2 go-to functions. Now, that doesn't mean, when I tell people too, Myers-Briggs doesn't talk about your personality. It's talking about the fundamental aspects of humans, which is functions. It's not talking about your personality, because your personality is going to change throughout your life, but that doesn't mean your type going to change. The reason why your type doesn't change, like when I tell people that, people get confused too. The reason why your type doesn't change is because your functions you're going to always fall back on the same functions. With that being said, you go through life, you're going to be using different functions. Like, even in your bottom 4 functions, outside, you're going to use all 8 functions. You're going to be using different functions more often throughout life too. As you're developing, as you're learning to use different functions, you're going to be using different shit pretty much. Well, let me excuse my language. Because I know, like, that can get me, sometimes they don't like you cursing. But anyways, you're going to use, you're pretty much going to use different functions throughout your life. As you're learning to develop, you're going to be trying to develop different functions throughout your life. So we have 8 functions. You pretty much throughout your lifetime, that's enough time for you to be able to delve into all the functions. And another thing too, like, once you start, another thing too, there's a difference between saying, like, so somebody say, can you type children? The answer to that question is, I talked about this before. The answer to that question is, yeah, but it depends on the kid, because you can't always tell. It's a matter of, can you tell what the type is at this early of age, or can you not tell? That's really the better question. Because pretty much, like, existing as a human being, it's a fundamental, like, you're going to be using the function some way. When you're using the function, you already kind of starting, like, you have to start developing the function once you start using it. And when you start developing the function, you can't go backwards. You can't go backwards pretty much. So, just briefly, let me just explain that. That makes sense. It's very confusing to explain too, but, well, yeah, with that being said, you pretty much, you'll be the same. You'll be using you'll go back to your same 2 functions throughout your lifetime. like those are your go-to. Like when something happens and you're trying to do it the best way you know psychologically, you're going to use the top two functions. Even if you're at a stage in your life where you're trying to develop maybe your some of your shadow functions, or you're trying to develop maybe your tertiary function, or whatever function. Really, as you get older, the further down the list you go on your function stack. Like, I think maybe a couple years ago, I was kind of developing my FE. I think I'm kind of past that, and I'm kind of developing my shadow functions. I think there was a point in time I actually was kind of developing my shadow TE. There's a point in time I knew, well, I don't really base my observations on shadow functions too much, honestly. I mean, I get them. I get it. Like, I know some people like to really base observations on shadow functions. I understand. It's cool. I'm not against it. My thing is, just don't overthink stuff. Don't try to use, don't try to be over technical about it, because people aren't built like that. Like, we're not like robots. You know what I'm saying? Like, being overly technical with the functions can make you like kind of forget about the fact that there's some stuff about human nature that's kind of unpredictable. You know what I'm saying? It can't really be calculated per se. Well, it's not that it can't be calculated, but it can't be always predicted, like with just like hypothesis. It's more so you just kind of see it for yourself sometimes, or you just gotta kind of yeah. I mean, it's not always what you would expect. You know what I'm saying? Like with the functions and how they. That's like I was trying to talk about my other video, and I was saying cause when I was talking about how they say ICPs, ENFPs, they try to stereotype, say it's not that we don't get along because of our function stack, based on the function stack. When in reality, a lot of ENFPs and the ICPs are friends and stuff like that, or they end up being they get along pretty well in real life. Like there's a lot of people that are ICPs and ENFPs that are friends. And INFPs too. But that doesn't mean like if you went to ESTPs, I've heard ESTPs say they don't like INFPs. And well, I haven't heard that, but I've seen like where they have trouble getting along with them. But it's not like just that one letter difference can make a huge difference in how that type can interact. You know what I'm saying? But of course the individual too, you know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna keep trying to push out more content. Yeah, so thanks for watching.